All right, guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here and you enjoy what you see throughout this video, hit that subscribe button, help the channel grow as I do make daily gaming content. So we have a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We'll start off here with some more news about the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition. As of right now, obviously we know that the deal has been approved, it has been passed, and we are still waiting on that first big announcement from Xbox as to when the first Activision Blizzard games are going to be making their way into Xbox Game Pass, or even just an announcement in any form as to how they're going to be handling this acquisition going forward, similarly to what they did with the Bethesda acquisition, where they had the roundtable and we got a lot more information. I'm expecting something along those lines with Activision Blizzard, but I'm fingers crossed that today or by the end of this month, we are getting that Game Pass announcement with a bunch of Activision Blizzard stuff. But they are still fighting in courts against the appeal with the FTC, which more likely than not, nothing is going to come out of that. The FTC has been beaten multiple times, and they just kind of look like idiots right now. And the CMA, if you remember, way back when this whole ordeal was still going on about trying to get this deal approved all across the world, specifically in the UK, the CMA came out and they blocked the deal. And when they blocked the deal, Brad Smith had some choice words for the CMA, and he specifically said this, or specifically talked about how that their confidence in the UK had been severely shaken after they blocked the deal. He called it the darkest day for Microsoft in its 4 decades of working in Britain, and went a step further, saying that the European Union is a more attractive place to start a business. And we know that the EU went ahead and approved the deal. And then the CMA eventually did approve the deal after Xbox restructured everything, and they made sure that cloud gaming was now going to be in a different section, where Ubisoft was actually going to have the rights to license out the Xbox Activision Blizzard games, or the Activision Blizzard games specifically, to any of the cloud gaming services out there that they want. And then the CMA went ahead and approved the deal after that restructure. Now, Brad Smith has changed his tune, which isn't surprising because they got the deal pushed through, and I'm sure they're thinking that they do eventually at some point maybe want to do some more acquisitions, and they're going to need to be on the good side of this CMA so that they get their approval in the future for other acquisitions that they do make. And Brad Smith now has changed his tune. Like I said, he was talking on BBC Radio 4, and he had this to say. He says, "I certainly learned a lot personally. I wouldn't step back necessarily from all of the concerns I raised when I talked back in April, but I might choose slightly different words to make my point." He says here that the CMA held to a tough standard, and I respect that. In my view, it was tough and fair. Continues saying, "It pushed Microsoft to change the acquisition that we had proposed for Activision Blizzard to spin out certain rights that the CMA was concerned about with respect to cloud gaming." Now, Brad Smith had a change of heart, but the CMA also had some words about what Brad Smith had previously said and Microsoft tactics. They say here, while Smith has had a change of heart over this criticism of the CMA, the regulator was less than impressed with Microsoft's tactics, saying business and their advisors should be in no doubt that the tactics employed by Microsoft are no way to engage with the CMA. This was back in October when Sarah Cardell, the CMA CEO, commented on this, and says here, "Microsoft had the chance to restructure during our initial investigation, but instead continued to insist on a package of measures that we told them simply wouldn't work. Dragging out proceedings in this way only wastes time and money." So there you have it. I mean, at the end of the day, everything went through. Everybody is happy. Microsoft's happy. The CMA is happy. They got them to restructure. And now Brad Smith is going back on those initial, I guess, thoughts that he had about this CMA, about it being the darkest day, and that he would rather do business in the EU. And again, I think this is probably because they may need the CMA in the future for future acquisitions. As we know, Microsoft isn't done. Xbox isn't done going out and trying to expand and acquire more studios, whether that is big publishers or singular studios. We also know they want to try to expand out in Japan. So all of these things are going to occur going forward for Xbox as they continue to try to expand out their ecosystem. Now, when it comes to other regulators, we have some news here about the French regulator who's actually fined Sony over third-party controller practices. So Sony is starting off 2024 with a fine of 13.5 million euros by France's antitrust regulator. And why they are doing this is because they say here that Sony implemented technical measures in 2015 to combat counterfeiting, which inadvertently affected the proper functioning of third-party controllers, making them disconnect during system updates. So, I mean, right there, that is obviously something that is not a good look for Sony, because there are tons of third-party controllers out there. People go out and buy them. Sometimes they're cheaper. Sometimes they just have a better feel. They have different layouts than what PlayStation was offering, and people want to be able to use those controllers on the console themselves. And when they went and bought these controllers, they brought them back. They were disconnecting during system updates, which obviously kind of would make them unusable if they weren't getting the latest firmware or whatever they had to be able to properly function. And this is one of the reasons why Sony is getting sued. The second reason is that they said the rival companies were impeded from joining Sony's licensing program, with access only granted through Sony's partnership program. Now, Sony refused to actually communicate the program access criteria to manufacturers upon request. They specifically say here, Sony applied the criteria in a discretionary manner, even though access to the program was the only way to avoid disconnection. So they obviously did this on purpose, because they didn't want people going out there and buying third party. They were trying to push everybody over to the PS4 first party controllers. They would obviously be making more money on that. They want to be able to control their entire ecosystem. It's just kind of what PlayStation's MO is. They are very much the company out there that wants to be in control of everything happening within their ecosystem. They want it to be closed off, and they want everybody only purchasing Sony products. And now it's kind of coming back to bite them, as they have been fined 13.5 million euros by France's antitrust regulator. I don't know how much of an effect that will be, because 13.5 million to a big company like Sony probably isn't that huge. I mean, they're going to pay it off and everything's going to be fine. And we'll see if they change any of their regulations going forward for other third-party manufacturers and other third-party devices. But this was specifically with the PS4. And I don't know if this is actually currently happening here with the PlayStation 5 controllers and any third-party stuff they have over there. All right, let's talk about Star Wars Outlaws, because we talked about this yesterday. I'm extremely excited about this game. We got a lot more information about what we can expect via that interview that we talked about in yesterday's show. But now we pretty much have confirmation that it will be releasing in late 2024. It was slated for 2024, and it was initially slated for March 2024. And then there was a delay that Ubisoft announced. They didn't say the game. They just said a large game is being delayed to later in the year, and everyone was assuming that the really only other big large game coming out in 2024 from Ubisoft is Star Wars Outlaws, so it probably is that. And now we kind of have confirmation that it most likely is releasing at the end of the year. This comes via a Disney Parks blog post where they talk about the release window for the Ubisoft Massive title. Massive is developing this game. And it says here, Star Wars Outlaws, the open world Star Wars game, is set to release late this year. So we can be expecting this probably in the September to December range. I'm guessing they're going to be releasing this during the most popular time of game releases, which is generally at the end of the year, and then try to get people hyped up during Christmas and the holidays and all that type of stuff for this game coming out. So I'm actually really excited. I can't wait to see more about it leading up to the release. I'm sure there will be more gameplay. I'm sure there will be more information about it, and probably shown off at a summer game fest or stuff like that, where we eventually end up seeing just more depth about this game. From what we've seen so far, there's many different layers to it. There is the open world, the dense cities, there's space combat. There's just a lot that I think is going to be you're going to be able to do in this game. And it's coming from Massive, who knows how to make these big open world style of games with just lots of things to do. You think about after you think about the Division game. So pretty excited for Star Wars Outlaws. All right, let's jump over here and let's talk about the Xbox rewards, because the Xbox rewards have been getting a lot of changes, and the Microsoft rewards have been getting a lot of changes over the last few months. And we are starting 2024 with some more changes to the Xbox rewards, and it seems like some people are not very happy about this. Now, to be clear, they aren't nerfing anything. You're still able to achieve the exact same amount of rewards as you previously could. However, they're changing kind of how you're going to be able to achieve these rewards. So if you know anything about the rewards, you have the Xbox Game Pass quest. Every time you log on to Xbox and you open up a Game Pass game, you'll get a notification and it'll tell you to hand in your quest so that you can receive these rewards. And there were specifically game specific Xbox quests or Xbox rewards that you could do by playing certain games on Xbox Game Pass. And I thought that was great because it really forced you, if you wanted these rewards, to go out and try new stuff. And I thought that it's a great way to bring attention to games that maybe people just don't know that are on the service. And it's a great way to expand your horizons with the types of games that you play. But that is the main thing that is going away. It says here, the main thing you'll notice is that there is no game specific quest for 5 or 250 points anymore. Instead, the 2 other weekly quests have been bumped from 10 points to 20 points, so they're increasing that. And the monthly quest completionist task now offers 1,000 points rather than 500, but with significantly tougher requirements in order to finish it. And if you look at the monthly quests here, basically, this is what you have to do. You have to complete 45 daily quests in a month to earn the rewards points, and you have to complete 8 daily quests in the month to earn those rewards points as well. And there's like some certain things here that basically it says that you will have to essentially play a Game Pass game on 30 separate days and complete an achievement on 15 separate days in order to achieve the 1,000 points, which is a lot of gaming throughout a month. And I'm sure for some people that to them, they're like, oh, I get to game more. That's great. And I will be able to achieve that. But for other people who were able to achieve these points previously with the other way that the Game Pass quests were set up, this is going to be a pretty lofty task. I mean, if you have other things going on and you're not able to get on to your Xbox and play a Game Pass game on 30 separate days of the month, is going to be very hard to achieve. And obviously, because of that, people are pretty upset. These are some posts here from Reddit saying, new day, new user, unfriendly change. I don't want to have to chase achievements at 5 points per day. This sucks. This person says, brah, I got to basically sell my soul to get that 1,000. This person says, this is ridiculous. Feels like they're making it harder to earn points every month. And I have to say, I agree. I mean, there is something going on here with Microsoft rewards and the Xbox rewards. They've been making constant changes, and it does not seem like these changes are for the better. I've been waiting and hoping that everything is going to come together and they're going to announce something and it's going to make all these changes make more sense. But as of right now, it just seems like they are making it hard for people to achieve rewards. And maybe it's because people were just getting way too many rewards and being able to claim way too much free stuff, and they kind of want to reduce that. Who knows the reasoning why, but I'm not a fan of what Xbox is doing here with these Game Pass quests being changed up. But what I am a fan of is Starfield. I think Starfield is a great game. And Starfield is always be, I mean, since even leading up to its release, years leading up to its release, it's always being talked about, and it's still being talked about now, months after it came out, and everybody was able to experience it and play it. The reviews came out. When it did launch, there were mostly positive reviews. Now we're sitting at a point where on Steam, it's at mostly negative reviews. And you look at some of these Steam reviews and it just really doesn't make any sense, because people who have played like hundreds of hours of this game, and then they go and say that they didn't like the game, which it logically makes no sense. If you're putting in hundreds of hours into a game, you obviously like the game. If you're putting in 50, 60 hours, 70 hours into a game, you like the game. There's no way you're sitting there and just torturing yourself because you dislike it. So all that stuff doesn't really make sense with some of these reviews, but as of right now, it's sitting at mostly negative on Steam. Now, with that being said, things get even more interesting and even more confusing here, because the Steam users, although voting it as mostly negative in the reviews, have voted for Starfield to win the 2023 Steam Award for Most Innovative Gameplay, which is the award for the designers of this game are at the front lines of creative experimentation, bringing a fresh perspective and brain-breaking surprises. This game delighted, inspired, and entertained with a newness never played before. So it won this award for most innovative gameplay, and that completely contradicts the mostly negative reviews that it has been receiving on Steam. So who knows what's going on here? I mean, there's a couple of theories here. First of all, you think about the most innovative gameplay award. I mean, you could think that potentially it won that because of all the things you can do within Starfield, the base building, the ship building, the space combats and while you're in space, and controlling your ship with all of the different levels you have to control, whether that's your weapons, your boosters, all that type of stuff. The actual gameplay on the planets. I mean, there is some fun stuff there. I wouldn't say anything out there is it's crazy innovative that we haven't seen anywhere else in video games. So that's interesting that it won it for most innovative gameplay. The other theory here is that people are saying they're just trolling, that this is a troll from Steam users as a joke. They all voted it in. I mean, we don't know that. That is complete speculation, but a win is a win. And Starfield is the winner of the most innovative gameplay award, no matter whether that's a troll or not. People are saying it's troll because you have this year as the Labor of Love award going to Red Dead Redemption 2, which they've essentially turned off their online and stuff. So there's lots of questions here, but a win's a win. Starfield has won the most innovative gameplay award. And there is some more interesting information that was brought up here by this person here on Twitter, Senjutsu Sage. And they're looking at the time played between I would say the two biggest RPGs that released in 2023. You have Baldur's Gate 3. Total hours played as of December 6, 2023 converts to 18 million days played, or 18,856,541 days played specifically. Starfield, as of December 20th, 2023, 14 days later, had over 22 million days played, which for a game that is mostly negative, and a lot of people are saying now that it isn't as good as people say it is, or especially said it was at launch. A lot of people have put in a lot of hours and a lot of days into a game that they don't like. So there's definitely something going on here. I'm not really sure what it is. It says here, mighty impressive numbers. Baldur's Gate 3 launched out of early access 34 days before Starfield. And yeah, it is extremely impressive. And Starfield is successful by essentially every single measure since it's been released, aside right now from the mostly negative reviews on Steam, where a lot of them, again, don't make as much sense as you want to believe that they would if you're giving it a mostly negative review, especially after playing it for hundreds of hours or even like 50 plus hours of the game. You really would love torturing yourself to not like a game to play it that long. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.